She leaned across the aisle and snapped, "Move your tray! That meal is mine now." Before I could even speak, she waved her phone and shouted, "I paid more than him." People turned. My daughter froze beside me, holding her juice tight. The woman rolled her eyes and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Some people don't belong in first-row behavior." I stayed quiet. Not because I was scared, but because I've learned something in life. When loud people feel powerful, they always make mistakes. She pressed the call button again and again, smiling like she already won. "Flight attendant!" she yelled. This man stole my upgraded meal. I want it back. The attendant walked over calmly. The woman pointed at my tray like it offended her. "Look at him. He's clearly economy. I deserve that food." A few passengers nodded awkwardly. My daughter whispered, "Dad, did we do something wrong?" That's when the woman leaned closer and said softly, almost proud, "If you don't give it to me, I'll make sure you're removed from this flight." I looked at her, then slowly at the meal ticket still clipped to my tray. She didn't notice it yet, and that was her first big mistake. The loudest person on the plane had no idea she was arguing with the wrong seat. The second flight attendant held the tablet closer. Her face changed a little. Not angry, just serious. "Ma'am," she said, "this seat was upgraded 3 days ago. Not today." Karen blinked. "That's not possible. I upgraded at the gate." The attendant tapped the screen once. "No, you didn't." A quiet murmur moved through the cabin. Karen crossed her arms. "Then show me proof." The attendant nodded and turned the tablet so everyone nearby could see. "My name was there." My daughter's name was there. And right under it? "Complimentary upgrade. Airline loyalty priority." Karen laughed nervously. "That must be a mistake." Then she leaned closer and whispered, "Fix it, or I'll call corporate." That's when the first attendant said something unexpected. "Ma'am, corporate already knows him." Karen's head snapped up. "What do you mean?" The attendant looked at me, then back at her. "He flies with us often, and not for vacations." The cabin went silent again. My daughter looked at me confused. I hadn't told her everything yet. Karen scoffed. "So what? That doesn't mean he gets my food." The attendant shook her head slowly. "It means this meal was never yours." Karen's voice rose. "This is discrimination. I want him moved." She pointed at me like I was the problem. That's when the captain's voice came over the speaker. "Cabin crew, hold service in row 4. Karen froze. Because row 4 was us. When the cockpit calls your row number, it's never random. The captain stepped out a few minutes later. Not rushing, not angry, just calm. Karen straightened her back like she was ready for a fight. "Finally, this man stole my upgraded meal and your staff is covering for him." The captain looked at her, then at the tablet, then at me. "Sir," he said quietly, "thank you for your patience." Karen laughed loudly. "Patience? He should be thanking me for not calling security." The captain didn't smile. "Ma'am, please lower your voice." She slammed her hand on the armrest. "No, I want him moved, and I want compensation." My daughter flinched. That's when the captain said something that changed the air in the cabin. "Ma'am, this passenger was upgraded under our military family program." Karen's mouth opened, then closed. She looked around, hoping someone would back her up. No one did. "I don't care," she snapped. "Uniform or not, rules are rules." The captain nodded slowly. "Exactly. And the rule is, you do not harass other passengers." Karen rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. I was just talking." The flight attendant calmly replied, "You threatened to have him removed." Silence. The captain leaned slightly forward. "One more outburst and you'll be escorted off before takeoff." Karen's face turned red. "You can't do that to me." The captain replied, calm but firm. "Watch me." She looked at me like this was somehow my fault. I didn't say a word. I just held my daughter's hand tighter. The captain turned to leave, then paused. "And ma'am," he added, "that meal you want so badly?" He glanced at her ticket. "It was never included in your fare." Her jaw dropped. Power feels real, until the right person says no. Karen stood up fast. Too fast. "I'm not sitting down!" she shouted. "This is unfair treatment." The seatbelt sign was still on. A few passengers gasped. The flight attendant raised her hand gently. "Ma'am, please sit." Karen pointed at me again. He's the problem. Ever since he boarded, everything went wrong. My daughter whispered, Dad, why does she hate us? I looked at her and said softly, she doesn't hate us. She hates losing. Karen grabbed her bag and shoved it into the aisle. I'm done with this airline. The captain turned back immediately. His voice was still calm, but firmer now. Ma'am, sit down. This is your final warning. She laughed. You won't touch me. I know my rights. That's when 2 airport security officers appeared at the front door. Not rushing, not loud, just walking straight toward row 4. Karen's smile faded. Wait, why are they coming here? The officer stopped beside her seat. Ma'am, you've been reported for repeated disruption and verbal threats. She looked around wildly. That's not true. Ask him. Everyone stayed quiet. The officer looked at the flight attendant. She nodded and pressed play on her body cam tablet. Karen's own voice filled the cabin. I'll make sure you're removed from this flight. Her face went pale. That's taken out of context, she whispered. The officer shook his head. Ma'am, please gather your things. She turned toward me one last time. Her eyes burned with anger. This isn't over, she hissed. I finally spoke, just once. It already is. As she was escorted off, the entire cabin stayed silent. Then someone behind us clapped. Another joined. Then more. My daughter looked up at me with wide eyes. Dad, did we win? I smiled slightly. No, I said. We were just treated right. When entitlement meets rules, it's always the rules that win. The door closed behind her. Just like that. The noise was gone. The cabin felt lighter. People started breathing again. The captain spoke over the speaker. Thank you for your patience. We'll be departing shortly. My daughter looked out the window and whispered, she really thought she owned the plane. I smiled. Some people think money buys power. A few minutes later, the same flight attendant came back. This time, her voice was softer. I'm sorry you had to go through that, she said. Your daughter handled it very bravely. My daughter sat a little straighter. Can I still eat? She asked quietly. The attendant laughed gently. Of course. Then she placed something extra on the tray. A small dessert. This one's on us. My daughter's eyes lit up. Karen was gone. But the moment stayed with us. As the plane finally started moving, a man across the aisle leaned over. Sir, he said, I served 2 tours. I know what calm looks like. You did good. I nodded, not trusting my voice. The engines roared. The ground pulled away. For the first time that day, I felt safe. My daughter rested her head on my arm. Dad, are we in trouble? No, I said softly. We're going home. Outside the window, the sky opened wide. Freedom doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It just lets you breathe. Real strength is staying calm when someone tries to break you. As the plane climbed higher, my daughter finally relaxed. She focused on her dessert like nothing else mattered. I watched her for a moment, then felt my phone vibrate. A message popped up. Unknown number. Sir, this is airline security. Please don't worry. We just need a quick statement after landing. I didn't reply. I already knew why. Karen never walks away quietly. A few rows ahead, the flight attendant came back again, this time lowering her voice. She filed a complaint at the gate, she said. Said you intimidated her. I let out a slow breath. I didn't even raise my voice. She nodded. We know. Everything's recorded. My daughter looked up. Is she trying to get you in trouble again? I gave a small smile. She's trying to save her pride. The attendant hesitated, then said, There's something else. I looked at her. She claimed the upgrade was hers, and that you used a fake identity. I almost laughed. Almost. Because that was the moment she made her biggest mistake. When we landed, 2 security officers waited near the jet bridge. Passengers walked past us slowly, some nodding, some smiling. One officer checked his tablet, then looked at me. Sir, can you confirm your name? I did. He blinked once, then twice. This isn't what I expected. My daughter squeezed my hand. Dad? The officer stepped aside and spoke quietly into his radio. Yeah, he's cleared. Fully verified. Actually, he paused, then looked back at me with respect. She's the one who might have a problem. I felt the twist settle in. Karen didn't just lose her meal. She reported the wrong person. When lies travel fast, truth still arrives first. They asked us to wait near the gate for a moment. Not in a harsh way. More like protocol. My daughter sat on the bench, swinging her legs. "Dad, are we late now?" "No," I said. "We're exactly where we need to be." A few minutes later, another officer walked up, older, calm. He looked at his tablet, then at me, then nodded once. "Sir, thank you for your service." My daughter's eyes widened. I gently squeezed her hand. The officer continued. "The woman who caused the disturbance filed a false report. She claimed harassment and identity fraud." He shook his head slightly. "All of it was proven untrue." I stayed quiet, because the next part mattered more. She's now being questioned for making a false statement and interfering with flight operations. My daughter whispered, "Is she going to jail?" I knelt beside her. "No. But she'll learn something today." The officer smiled at that. "Sir, you and your daughter are free to go. Transportation has already been arranged." As we walked away, I saw Karen at the end of the hall. No shouting. No phone in the air. No power left. She looked at me once. I didn't look back. Outside, the air felt clean. My daughter took a deep breath and smiled. "Dad, she couldn't take anything from us." I nodded. She never could. Because some things don't come from upgrades. They come from standing your ground quietly. Respect isn't demanded. It's revealed. We stepped into the sunlight outside the terminal. Everything felt normal again. Almost too normal after what happened. My daughter looked up at me and said, "Dad, why did she think she was better than everyone?" I thought for a second. Because she never learned that power without respect is empty. Our ride pulled up. The driver smiled and said, "Rough flight?" I nodded. "Something like that." As we drove away, my phone buzzed one last time. Airline message. "Your loyalty status has been permanently upgraded. Thank you for your service. I showed it to my daughter." She grinned. "So, we really did nothing wrong?" "No," I said softly. "We did everything right." Behind us, that airport would forget her name. But we wouldn't forget the lesson. You don't win by shouting. You don't win by pointing fingers. You win by staying calm when someone tries to break you. My daughter leaned against my shoulder as the city passed by. "Dad, I feel safe with you." That was enough. More than any upgrade. More than any seat. More than any meal. Because freedom isn't about where you sit. It's about knowing no one can push you out of your place. They tried to take our dignity and walked away without theirs.